Beep, beep.
Yes, we're going to start. So, yes. Yay. We're going to start. Are we starting?
Are we starting?
We're starting.
We're starting.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the podcast called Living Your Best Life with Benny.
Valerie.
And Valerie. Yep. And this is the podcast where
one of us introduces a subject or topic, and the other one has no idea what we're going to talk about.
No idea what the subject is. But all the topics are related to, hopefully, living your best life, topical, just things that are common to people in life. So.
Exactly. And then, I think we've said this before, we are not experts, but we're going off our own experiences and what has worked, hasn't worked, and what we've learned from things. And
yeah,
because we're well into our 30s, so we know.
Oh, God.
Plus 20s, plus 20 more.
I rarely actually fake laugh. I mean, not fake laugh, but I rarely actually have the spit laugh. And I was like, oh my gosh, in their 30s. My daughter is near 30. Your daughter is over 30.
Oh my God, my daughter is like almost 40.
Yeah, so
that's crazy.
Yeah, that's too funny. But not only that, we do like to read about certain subjects, and we are learners, and so it's not as though but I don't want to claim to be experts. I would rather that this be more experiential.
Exactly.
That's
exactly. Yeah, I know that we both do our own research on things, not necessarily every time we have a topic, but like you said, we like to learn, and we have different areas of where we like to learn from, so it helps.
It does help.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me, how was your week?
It was actually a really good week.
You rarely do that. You literally looked at me like, what's he asking?
No,
Is he
because
speaking English?
I was like, wait, let me think about my week. I was really going to want to give you a real good answer on that one. And I am being honest, it was actually a really good week. As I told you, today was Animal Spirit Day at school. And she does this one, our counselor puts together this thing once a month, and it has a topic of something, dress like your favorite animal, and then the following month could be dress all in red or whatever. So today was your animal day. So I wore a leopard print dress. I had ears, I had a little bow, and I put a tail on my dress. And so I'm telling you guys this, I already told you this, but I'll tell you guys that are listening. So I took the ears off, I took my bow tie off, I took my little nose off, and I cleaned my house and everything. And then I come running over here to do the podcast at Benny's house, and I forgot to take the tail off. So as I'm coming over down the street, there's some ladies emptying their trunk out from groceries, and she's like, "You look so cute." And I just thought she was commenting on my outfit, but she was commenting on my tail that I forgot to take off.
Yes.
So, but it was fun. There was a lot of participation in school. I love when the kids participate in the Spirit Days.
Yeah. But then I had the awkward moment of having to take off your tail,
yes,
which is right near your ass. And so
that's where tails usually are.
I know. So that was weird. But yeah, my week was good too. I actually, this is pretty rare for me. I'm one of these, I go to an online school for my master's degree. And so every week, basically it's done in weeks. So you do this week's projects and then the next week's and the next week's. And as a rule, I have been a guy who's just done my week and looked a little ahead, especially regarding larger projects. And I just decided I'm not going to do that. And I literally, the very first week that school started for this quarter, I downloaded all the PDFs that I have to read. I put into like a tabs thing in Chrome all the different videos I have to watch, and I've just been cranking through it. And I'm in like I'm already in my third or fourth week of school,
wow.
And I'm only in the second week of school, so it puts me way ahead.
That's very
which
cool.
Makes me way more at peace.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because we talked about this at our last podcast, that you were mentioning how you do better work when you're
under
in a
pressure.
hurry, when you're under pressure. And what's interesting is I think I've always thought that. Well, I don't know if I've always thought that we had that discussion a little bit last week, but what I've noticed is I am doing way better work right now.
When you have it spaced out.
Yeah, because I have so much time to process all these things, and I'm able to like write things out.
Yeah.
And I don't have this like looming thing in my head like, oh, I got to get this done. I got to get this done. I got to get this done.
Yeah.
Instead, it's just like, okay, I'm going to get done what I can get done. And I really get to be there in the in the moment.
Yeah.
Rather than just be thinking, I got to get this done. I got to get this done. My beautiful wife just walked in the door.
Hi, Patty.
Hi, boogers. She's smiling.
Oh, and that reminds me, we're supposed to wear, she has her Chiefs t-shirt on. On Monday, I'm supposed to wear a hockey jersey. Well, not a hockey jersey, just a jersey. But
then take the Chiefs. You know, the Chiefs are big news right now.
I'm going to put on the Red Wings, my friend.
Oh, my goodness. You got to wear the Chiefs. Every single Taylor Swift fan is going to be so happy. They all know about Taylor Swift. They don't know anything about football.
The Chiefs. Right, exactly.
Yeah, but they will know about Taylor. They'll go, oh, my gosh, Taylor Swift. When you're walking in
Red
with your...
That's all I got. Red Wings.
That's just silly.
But anyway, yeah. So, no, it's funny that you said that about the, because of our last podcast and we talked about doing things, you know, under pressure kind of thing or whatever. I started trying to not wait till the last minute to get something done. And I still feel like I work better under pressure because I look at the clock or the time or the date or whatever and go, oh, I still have more time. Like, I just like the fact of like, I don't know. It's weird. And it may not be my best work, but I just like working under that. Okay, but
that's the thing. The key thing is, so there's two questions here. Do you get the work done faster under pressure? Perhaps. Because it's like you don't have a choice, right? Mm-hmm. You have to get it done. Mm-hmm. And so I know for me, like I've told you, I've written 2 papers in a weekend, and that's not common for me to be able to crank out 2 papers. They weren't my best papers, but I got an A and whatever, but they weren't, but I even didn't feel great about them. And I sent them wondering if they were really what they're, I mean, really like, oh my goodness, I don't know if these are going to be any good. But when I have time, and I'm really going for it, the thing is I have to trick my mind into saying I'm gonna get this particular, whatever the thing is, done. I'm gonna do it right now. And then I crank it and I keep doing it. And then the great thing is that I don't feel the pressure though, even though I'm telling myself I don't feel that pressure because I know,
because you know there's a cushion.
There's a little bit of a cushion and stuff. So I don't know. I guess it really comes down to quality work versus, so again, we talked about this, but if I'm like having to do the dishes and I have to do it under the gun, yeah, it's great because it's like, who cares? It's like, I just got to get them done real fast. And so do you want to know maybe we've already told you this, but do you know what's really funny is it's really hard to buy a house in California. You probably know this, right? So not only expense, but then once you finally buy one, once you find one, excuse me, I mean, at least in the time that we were buying a house, this place 6 years ago, it was, people were offering 20, 30, 40, 50,000 over asking. And it was crazy. And so we were happy to ask. I mean, I remember just saying to our realtor, well, do you think that we should negotiate and ask for less? And he goes, if you don't at least give them what they're asking, you don't have a prayer. He goes, because I guarantee you people are going to ask for or offer more. Yeah. And so we couldn't offer more. And so what's funny is when they finally, there's a long story about how we ended up getting this because we didn't get it. We were actually finally at a point where we were just going to rent another apartment and then literally driving there, they called us and said, that place is available. And we bought it with we didn't see it again. So it had been months before we saw it before. And then we were at the walkthrough. What's that called? You know, when the walkthrough, when the dude walks through and he makes sure that everything's working. Yeah. And he's going through and he goes to the kitchen and he goes, okay, well, there's no dishwasher. And Patty and I looked at each other and go, oh, there's no dishwasher. We went through that. We didn't realize it. So, yeah. So, but anyway, my point is when you do certain tasks like that, I don't think it matters. I guess what it really comes down to. Okay, so
there was a point to this. I was like, why are you talking about that? We went from,
whatever. You were talking about your tail.
No, I'm like, wait, he went from working under pressure.
I know. So the point, that was just a little digression for free. So the real thing is that when we do tasks that are like physical or what have you, and they just are routine, I think, that doesn't really matter. But if you're doing something that requires like thought and a lot of processing, at least I think the quality of the work goes way up when you have a significant amount of time.
That makes sense.
So that's what I have to say about that. And that's free.
Yeah.
And that's bonus coverage, everybody. Bonus coverage. It's not even my topic this week.
Why don't we just end it now?
Okay. Thanks for listening. No. Okay. I do have another thing is that we got together last week and we were supposed to play games. And we didn't do anything.
We just chatted.
We just chatted.
We should have just put the microphones on and just.
I know. We seriously could have had a podcast. So, but it was fun to get together with you guys because it felt like it's been a while since we got together.
Yeah.
Was that the time? That wasn't the time that we ordered food. No, that was after a podcast where we decided to order
That
food.
that was last Friday. Oh, I don't know. Peter came over last Friday night, but.
No, he didn't, because the reason why we got together is because we hadn't got together in a while. It doesn't matter.
No,
the
he
dates.
came over.
The podcast listeners
let's
don't care.
you know what, you guys, you're going to hear this because I'm right. He did come over. Wait, did he?
No, he did not.
Wait, he did.
No, that was 2 or 3 weeks ago. When did he come? Iggy. Oh, by the way, Iggy's our sound guy, and he's right here. Iggy, tell us, when did they come? When did Peter come?
I don't know the exact dates, but the night where you guys ordered food after the podcast was not last week.
There it is.
You're right, because you guys went to a party.
Why do you say you're right?
Oh, that's right.
You said you're right. I said
right.
it, and you're looking at Iggy like he's like, wow, he's a genius.
Because that's right, because we went to Kate's last cheerleading thing. That's right. So Iggy, you're right.
Oh my gosh. So anyways, but we did do that one time and ordered food, and that was a mistake because not only wasn't it great food, but it was it took forever.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it was breakfast.
But it was
the next
fun,
day
even
more
though
than
just
anything.
hanging out.
That's true. Okay, well that was fun.
All right. Well, I have a topic that I want to talk to you about that you probably can't relate to yet. But
I have not gone through menopause.
You will. Ooh, that's part of it, actually. No, just,
oh, geez.
Well, I'm going to mention it at one point, but you will go through it. Everyone that is going to have children, thinking about having children, has children, will go through this at some point.
I have 2 children.
So I know, but you still have one at home. So my topic is about being an empty nester.
Oh, yeah.
And the reason I'm bringing it up because I've talked to a lot of people, because my baby is Kylie, who's 26, and a lot of the people that I used to associate with because of our, group, that we were all parents that went to school, or kids went to school together. They're all becoming empty nesters as well, because all of our kids are around the same age and they're all leaving. So I just want to bring this up because I've heard marriages that have crumbled because of empty nest, or people just live parallel lives or whatever. And I think that everyone will benefit from just hearing a few because you have one child that left, and you and Patty still have a great relationship, even though you still have a child here. I don't see anything for you going in a different direction if Trinity leaves, where some marriages do end up crumbling because they're just like, what the heck do we do now? You put so much time and effort as a couple into your children, and then they're gone, and you're like, okay, now what?
Well, this is interesting. It's an interesting topic because Patty and I have talked about it, not necessarily in our own lives, but that's not true. I guess we've talked about it for each other as well, but we have seen other couples who we wonder if they're going to crumble, and we also have seen some crumble. And then it's crazy. I don't know what's in the water, but it's crazy how many people get divorced after they've been married 25, 30 years.
Exactly.
And it's kind of like, wow, how can you go that long and then just it's over?
Exactly.
I don't get it. So, I guess I do get it. I mean, I'm getting a marriage and family therapy degree, so yes, I do get it. But I think one of the reasons. So, what are you asking me just to?
You can give me your opinion. Yeah. What are your thoughts?
Well, here are some of my thoughts on it. I'm just totally thinking out loud. One thing is, I think a lot of couples that end up divorcing or struggling is because their entire focus is on their children.
Exactly.
And so they both and when they go out to dinner, when they do things, it's always revolved around their children.
Exactly.
And it's always around their children. It's always around their children. And so then the children leave, and they're like, oh my gosh, what do I do? I don't know what in the world I'm supposed to do now, because we don't have a relationship out of discussing our children or going to their activities or what have you.
Yes.
And I would just say, at least in the case of Patty and I, and I think it's fair to say this, and Iggy is here, but Trinity's not here, but we don't center around Trinity at all. Is that a fair statement, Iggy? He's nodding. So for the YouTubers, and actually he's not on
he's
camera.
Like, yes.
I had to turn up my microphone.
So the thing is that I would say that couples where they really struggle are the ones that they don't have relationship outside of it. But Patty's my best friend.
Well, there you go. And that's basically in a nutshell what it has to be. You have to be a friend, if not a best friend, with your partner.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you are going to be the two. Hopefully your kids move out, you're going to be the two with each other. And so while you are raising your kids and they are a priority and they are relying on you for everything, basically, you have to let your children even see that you're putting your spouse first, right? So, and if you take it even a step further, if you are somebody that believes in God and you're supposed to put God and then you put, it doesn't say put God, then children, and then,
right.
You know what I mean? It's like God, your spouse, the family, the children, whatever. But
I've actually made it very clear. This is always an interesting thing, and it's particularly difficult for moms, I think. Not the 18. What I'm about to say is particularly difficult for moms. But what I have always said this, even when I did like pastoral counseling, is your spouse has to be more important than your kids, because your kids are in fact going to leave one day, and particularly for moms, I find that that's a really difficult comment. They're like, there's nothing more important than my kids.
Yes. And it's not even like, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I am. No, but it's not even, but it's not even that they are so in love with their children that they need to put them first. Sometimes it's just exhausting, because honestly, when you brought up moms, I'm just going to say it. I think moms do, and there are dads that do this, so please don't, think that I don't think dads are involved. But moms typically are the ones that get the kids going, get the kids up, get the kids out the door to school, go grocery shopping, come home, put the groceries away, cook the dinner, take them to the soccer practice, because most dads, maybe not so much now, but back in the day, were working until a certain time. Then it was bath time. Then, and then they're just like, exhausted because of, and at the same time they're their pride and joy. So it's a twofold thing where it's like, no, my kids come first, but also sometimes they have to come first, but this is where I think,
but I'm gonna argue that point. Wait, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I'm gonna interrupt you.
But let me just finish this thought, because what I'm gonna say about that is, as a couple, even though that happens, and even though you're just like, okay, this is where I need to be, this is what I need to do, you also need to look at your child at some point and say, I need to talk to daddy for a minute, and I want to be with daddy for a minute. And you need to just wait. You need to, or what, even if you're in a full on conversation and your kid walks up to you, excuse me, I'm talking to daddy. It's not, the whole world shouldn't revolve around what this kid had to stay, unless he's saying that, brother or sister grabbed a knife.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, or they're on fire.
Yeah. So anyway, but now go ahead.
Well, what I was going to say is that I think it's more than just the work that the moms put into their kids. Patty was a stay-at-home mom for the younger ages, and then when she had like a job, a home job, but she didn't. But her focus was our kids, and we wanted that.
Right.
And then, but I think this is just a very nurturing thing. The fact that you birth them is obviously the biggest thing. Yeah. Because people would say, who do you love more? That's not the right question, because, I don't love my wife more than I love my kids.
Right.
I can't say that.
There's a different kind of love.
It's just different.
Yeah.
It's very different. But when it comes to how I'm going to choose, I love you. I can't say I love you less than I love I love Patty, but she's still a priority over you. Sorry. Yeah. And so the point is that there is a different way to look at how you value and how you place people, and then how you make decisions. And so how your worldview is. And if your worldview is my kids are the center of the world, like you just said, then when they leave, it's like the sun just left and it's never going to rise again, or however that works.
Right.
But the point is that when it comes to, I don't even know, I like the fact that you talk about God and, family, et cetera, and however you break that down, because it's dangerous to put anybody in the role of God, because every one of us fails, right? We all blow it. And so if we make anybody the center of our attention, then we're in for a world of hurt, because they're eventually going to fail. And so the real thing is, okay, what is our driving force? What keeps us going? And how do I prioritize my life? That sounds very, right brain. I think it's right brain, which is really just like, it's not very emotional. It's just, this is the way I think. But I have honestly, okay, I'm going to go one step further. It's not even just how you raise your kids, though, in my mind. In terms of like what you said, hey, I'm talking to mom right now, and so you're going to have to wait a second, or mommy and I are going to go watch a movie, and we want to watch it. No, we're going to watch it. We're going to watch it. You guys are going to go to your room or go to bed or whatever it is. But there's another thing about it where we need to say, I am going to purposely raise you in a way so that you become an adult and you leave the house. Because I don't think everybody raises their kids that way. Right. And they make their kids dependent on them to make decisions and to do things. And so what ends up happening is that the kid grows up and they seriously don't know how to make decisions because they've been made for them all their lives. And then all of a sudden they wonder why they get to college and they grow up and they make, quite, pardon my French, but stupid ass decisions. And you're like, what in the world's going on? Well, they've never been trained. You didn't let them do it when they were in junior high and high school.
Well, and I think that comes back to like getting back to the empty nest and how you can keep a relationship even after the kids are gone, is that I think that comes back to exactly what you just said. You still have to make your relationship a priority, even if there's kids there. You can plan date nights, and it doesn't mean that you have to go off and spend money and say, okay, you and I are going to go out on an extravagant date. It could just be that you go walk on the beach. It could be that you have an in-law or somebody that can pick up your kids and take them, and you stay in your own house. And, because sometimes it's just nice. Sometimes you're just never in your house alone. I remember Peter and Kylie going off on date nights, and Kylie would say, Mommy, I feel bad. Are you sure? And I'm like, I have never been in this house by myself. I'm okay. You know what I mean? So the same goes for you and your spouse, We love being in our house alone. And so I'm going to move forward with just my own experience as being an empty nester right now. When Nicole and Dustin first moved out, it was very hard. The first ones, right? Making this leap to leave and all that kind of stuff. In fact, Nicole moved out the very first time moving across the country. And so it was very hard each time. But then I kept saying, I still have Kylie. I still have Kylie at home. I still have Kylie because she's 10 and 8 years younger than those two. And so then, while she still has her foot in the door because she's not technically out, I don't know if she'll ever stay put once she comes back from her cruise. But even that said, once she was gone and we had this house to ourselves, I was like, I am comfortable with this. I didn't feel, I missed her at times. Of course, I miss all my kids at times. Yeah. But I was comfortable just being with Peter. I was comfortable with, this is our turn. You know what I mean? And it's sad because somebody, like the few people I talked to, didn't feel like that. One of them was saying that they ended up splitting up because they didn't have anything in common anymore. Their kids, like you just said, were their commonality. They did not have anything in common. And then another one is still together, but they do everything separately. He has his friends, she has hers. She goes, we rarely do anything together unless the kids, like a holiday get together, or the kids are saying, let's go to dinner for so-and-so's birthday. Then we're all together. But as a couple, they don't do anything together. And then,
so that's like that's when it's, you're really living a separated life, but it's practical to stay together and live in the same home. Yeah. Because my guess is they probably don't sleep together.
Maybe not. Maybe they don't. I don't know. I didn't get into specifics on that one. But I do know that if you're living parallel lives, and I know this from being married to Rob, and I know we had a lot of other circumstances in our relationship that wasn't great.
First husband.
My first husband. We lived parallel lives. And so, he did his thing with basketball and golf, and I was always doing this. And then I had the kids, and I was always doing stuff with the kids with my sister-in-laws at the time that had little kids. It was never, unless it was a big family gathering, it wasn't Rob and I doing something, and it wasn't even Rob and the kids and I doing something. It
Right.
was just, we lived very parallel lives. And that's what it sounds like a lot of couples do.
Empty nesters do.
Yeah. And then just real quick, because I talked to 3 different people and asked, why things aren't great after being an empty nester. And the other one basically just said what we've already talked about, that they put their kids first and didn't have much to come back to when the kids had left. So, and, and again, I'm not trying to say, oh, we did it all right, because obviously I know I did tons of mistakes. But one thing I did really try to do in this marriage was make our relationship a priority. And it truly is my best friend. Like, there is no other person that I think, oh, who should I go have to lunch with? I'm constantly thinking, what are we doing this weekend? What are we doing today? What are we going to do Friday night? What are we going to do Sunday? I never think, let me call somebody and go do something.
Right. Well, me neither. And so for me, it's like Patty and I, we virtually do everything together. It's so funny you mentioned walks on the beach, because that's one of our favorite things to do. We walk, we'll walk around our neighborhood. We have a walk at least every evening, because we walk our dog every single evening. And so, and then we typically watch a show or two at before we go to bed, and we go to bed at the same time, which is
Same.
another thing.
Same.
And so we're try to be together,
Mm-hmm.
and we get up around the same time. The point is that we do spend time together. There's no question in my mind that she probably would like more. I'm not throwing her under the bus. I'm just saying this, but it's probably a fair statement that you would like a little more time away from me than I with you. But part of that is because I talk so damn much. So,
well, that's interesting that you said that, because Peter has this new job where a new job. He's had it a while, but this particular job that he has had for like a year is in Orange County-ish. And it takes him a long time to get back to our area in Torrance. And then he goes to the gym, and then he comes home. So he's not getting home on a regular basis till like 7 p.m. Sometimes even a little bit later. So I get home from work at 3:30. So not only do I not have kids at home, but my own husband doesn't get home till like 7 to 7:30. And so I feel like I'm around my house a lot alone, And it was so funny when my kids were like, are you sure we want to leave? No, leave. I want an empty house. And now I'm like, gosh, when's Peter going to get home? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But at the same time, I know he can't help it. And I don't want to make him feel bad about it, because I do want him to, he loves working out. I want to make sure he gets his workout in. And I feel bad for him. He's driving home in a lot of traffic. So I never want to say, gosh, you get home so late. But at the same time, I do have this like downtime. And so I try to make the most of it, but at the same time, it is, but when it is your best friend, you do miss it. And you're just
for sure.
Yeah.
As you know, I work at home. And so I'm at home a lot.
So she never has a chance to be alone.
Well, and that's the thing. That's the other thing, is that she never, and even when I was a pastor and everything I did, I was frequently at home. I wasn't nearly as much at home as I am now. I mean, all my clients are virtual, so it's here. But the point is that I rarely leave here. And so for her, it's like when I leave and I have a meeting on Saturdays and I do certain things, it's like for her, it's like, oh, yeah, I get the place.
And that's
myself.
Okay.
It's totally okay.
Yeah,
it's
and that's
appropriate.
Okay.
I'm glad for her.
Exactly.
I'm glad for that it can happen.
And I agree. Like, even when Peter will say, oh, so-and-so that he used to go to school with will say he wants to meet for lunch or whatever. I'm like, oh, it's like, we know, I know people say you live like today's your last day or whatever you want to call it. Like, don't think there's always a tomorrow. But at the same time, I don't want to live my life thinking, no, stay with me because, you do your thing.
I think the idea of living your life like it's, is like live for your passion and go for it and so on. I don't think it means that, because otherwise, man, there's a lot of things. I'd just be eating chocolate all day.
No, because
if I knew it was my last day, I'd just be having ice cream and peanut butter.
No, because Kylie's funny, because I'll say things like, she's not good about taking selfies or pictures. As you know, she's been in Europe for how many months and never took a picture. Well, just a couple. But I'll say, let's take a selfie. And she'll go, and I go, Kylie, if I die tomorrow, you're going to be so sad you didn't. She goes, stop saying that.
Yeah. So the point is that I think that's about trying to live for your passions. But I do, getting back to the whole idea, because I think this is a bigger subject, because it's really not just empty nesters. It's like anybody out there who has kids, or if you are an empty nester, what I will say to you is it's not too late. I mean,
no.
we had the conversation. We're probably going to do a podcast on it one day, but go to therapy, get some therapy, or go to a life coach that deals with couples.
Right.
And really try to, because there was something that caused you to fall in love in the first place, and that's still there.
You need to find that.
And you just need to get back to it. But if you've created patterns that are now uncomfortable, because that's the thing that's so funny. I mean, I always use this as an illustration. I'll never forget when Ashley was, when we finally weaned her off of her pacifier. And every single time we put her inside her car seat, she'd go poo-pah because it had Winnie the Pooh.
That's what she would get on.
And so she'd go, yeah. And then we weaned her off of it. And for weeks, we'd put her inside the car seat and she'd go poo-pah. And then we wouldn't give it to her and she wouldn't do it. Well, likewise, you as a couple have developed habits now that in some cases you just can't get out of. And so you're feeling stuck and you're feeling like this is our marriage and this is who we are and we're different people. And I'm just going to say, you are different people, but that's great. We're all different people. That doesn't make any sense.
We are.
Patty and I are different people than when we first married, but I still love her.
Of course.
And so
hopefully we've evolved in some ways.
I think it's the most crazy. It's the craziest thing when people say, we don't change. I'm thinking everybody changes.
Yeah.
There's not a single person that changes, that doesn't change. And if you don't, wow, what a boring life.
Well, and this goes to show this exactly is why I brought this up, because even though there might be somebody listening that is like so far away from even having a child yet, or their kids are like, 2 and 3, 4 years old, like, oh, we have so much time. But everything that you establish in your relationship now will take you through to those empty nest stages where some people do just separate. And that's really just what I wanted to talk about in relationships in general, is to make sure to put the partner first and then let your kids see that they're putting that partner first as well. Like it's not bad to let the children see that you have a healthy marriage. You know what I mean? It's good for them to see that.
Well, I think there's something else to be said here, especially I'm going to speak for dads since I am one, is for a dad to say your mom is the most important thing, shows that young lady, in my case, 2 young ladies, is saying to them, you need to be the most important, like you need to be valued
100%.
By your future spouse and you need them to know that. And that is valuable. It's not saying you're not valuable, little kid, go away, because in other areas you're going to show them that you love them. Yeah. And other times you're obviously going to love them. You're going to do it. This is not your last opportunity to love your kid, but you do need them to see the importance of your spouse and that relationship. And that is valuable. I'll never forget. This is a story. It's interesting because I was thinking about this the other day, totally random, but I remember like thinking about my kids' future spouses. And something that I said to myself was, I really want them, God, I was kind of praying about it. And I said, God, I really want them to trust. And I mean, I really want them to honor my kids. Like, I really want them to be people. And then the thing that popped in my mind that was fascinating is I really want them to be the kind of men that open the door for them.
Right.
And then it was like a really quick conviction. Do you open the door for Patty? That's literally what happened.
Yeah.
And is it a fair statement to say that from that point on, I started opening the door for Patty and both my girls every single time I possibly can? I open the door. Is that a fair statement? She's nodding. See?
Yeah.
So, because I literally said, wait a minute, how in the world are they ever going to get that person if they've never seen it modeled? Now, I don't care if they open the door. So that's not the issue. The issue is really, there's a sense of respect. I do it because I'm saying you're so important to me. It's not because I'm saying that women are inept and they can't open a door.
Yeah.
I'm not saying
And
because I need to be this person. Yes, I'm not saying, it has nothing to do with that.
Right.
It just has to do
that.
with the fact
really
that you
do.
are important.
Yeah.
I
know I can open my own door, but I do appreciate it when Peter opens my door. So.
Yeah. And so I decided that I was going to do that. Now, here's my point. That's the kind of, if you're doing those things in your marriage, your kids see that. The fact of the matter, and if you're an adult here with kids and you're thinking and you're wondering, you are parenting whether you like it or not, like you were raised.
Yeah.
And you're probably, if you're a person who's learning, then hopefully you're learning to get out of the bad habits and you're trying to implement good ones.
Yeah.
And then if you're thinking, no, I do the exact opposite of what they did, that's probably bad too, because I doubt that they were that bad. Now, some of you did have parents that were that bad, but what I'm saying is that don't swing the pendulum.
Don't overcorrect it.
Yeah, because some people who said, oh my gosh, my parent was a helicopter parent.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that. I'm going to let them do whatever they want to. Well, that's not helpful.
Yeah.
On the other hand, my parents didn't let me do anything or let me do everything. And so I'm going to make sure that my kids don't do any. Well, it's like, no, it's like you really have to find what's right.
The balance.
Yeah.
And what's right for each child, because actually each child is so different.
So different. Oh my goodness. Ashley was the kind of kid that literally, if we would go into a store and we'd say, well, we're going to leave. And she'd go, oh no, you can't leave. You can't leave. You can't leave. And then we said to Trinity the same thing, thinking this will work.
Yeah.
We said, Trinity, well, we're going to leave. And she literally looked at it and she goes, bye. So we were like, oh, crap, that's not going to work. So yeah, very, very different kids. But the truth is that if we're going to have a solid marriage and if we want our kids to have a solid marriage, then they need to see a solid marriage. You can't tell them what a solid marriage is about. They need to see it. They need to see that you're honoring. I'm a dad. You need to see that you're honoring your wife. They need to see that you care for her. They need to see that. And if they see that, then they're going to probably look for a man who's like that.
Well, what they're going to do is...
Or a significant other who's like that.
Well, they're going to look at Iggy and Andy and go, why the heck aren't you opening my door?
Yeah, well, we've already had that conversation. I've had to journal about it many times. No, I'm just kidding. You do open her door, don't you? Oh, here we go. Put him on the spot.
I do open the door.
Oh, there you go.
See? There you go.
We're going to ask Trinity later.
Yeah. I'm texting her right now.
It's funny because I try to open it as like every time that I can, that sometimes she'll try to race me to the door so that she can open it herself.
That's a different thing.
That's cute. Well, a long time ago, I know, and back in the day when you didn't have the clicker to open the door before you got to the car, people would go over and unlock the door and then open it for you. And now it's almost like, and I understand a lot of it is you walk up, you unlock both sides, and then you just get in. So it's a little bit different. But just to I don't want to go over too long, but I wanted to say just a couple things. And I think we already touched on it, just because if you are someone that is already an empty nester, I think Benny's right. I don't think that it's too late if you feel like we're going in different directions. We need to, end this. There is ways to get back and connect. And one could be just therapy. One could just be looking at each other in the eyes and say, how can we reconnect?
That's right.
Well, why did we fall in love in the first place? But if you're at a place where your kids are still at home and there's no sign as an empty nester anytime soon, put your partner as a priority. And a couple things that you can do is, like I said, go on date nights. And it doesn't mean you have to spend a lot of money. You can also have a date in, like I said, have somebody take your kids for a few hours.
Go for a walk around the block.
Exactly. Find common interests. Peter Peter watched hockey, the Red Wings, when we first were together. And I had no interest in watching hockey at all. But he had it on every other night during hockey season because of Red Wings. They're pretty much games every other night, right? And I finally just said, you know what? I'm going to sit down and watch this. And then I became a Red Wing fan. And so, there's just things that you got to try, go on hikes together, whatever, I don't have anything else. Anyway,
no, but I think it's great. I think walks are really good. They're physically good. But I also think there are games nowadays that you can buy online that are... I've seen these. I can't think of them. Chess. No, like even like they're card games where you ask a question. So you go on the walk maybe and you just ask a question and you say.
No, I've seen those for yeah.
And you can ask them a question. It just reminds you and it asks you, and all of a sudden you discover things that you didn't necessarily think about because they're random. They're really random, but they might lead to other conversations. I think another thing that's important. You didn't say this, and I might be
there. I didn't finish. No, but say it. I don't want you to forget.
Well, no, go ahead, because I don't want to go there because it's going to go different. Okay. What I was going to say is it's also important because I think another thing that happens with young couples sometimes is they're no longer intimate because because all of a sudden it's like so busy and I'm so tired. And part of this whole experience is it's important to be intimate and it not just be a physical act, that it's actually something like I enjoy being with you. And
and here is with exclamation points, hold hands.
There it is. And that's what I was getting at is like, it needs to be something. But holding hands to me is almost more intimate than sex sometimes it's a
very touchy thing. A lot of people, and this sounds really bad, but a lot of people that I think, this is going to sound really bad, but I read something about who are the people that get paid to have sex? What are they called?
Prostitutes.
Thank you. I lost my words.
But I'm getting a master's degree, so it's no wonder you could not get that word.
No, but they won't kiss. They will only have sex. And so kissing is very intimate, right? Holding hands. And something Peter and I used to always do is hold hands walking on the beach, hold hands walking in the mall, hold hands just walking into a grocery store. And I'm not going to lie, you brought up menopause earlier. Once I started having, and I've had a very easy menopause compared to some people, but once I started getting kind of hot, I would okay, I can't hold your hand anymore. Or he would even put my hand on us while we're watching TV and put my hand on my leg. And I'm like, okay, your hand has to come off, or our shoulders would be bound. Okay, I need to move away a little bit. And sadly, it just happens. But I do miss I miss hand holding.
Yeah.
We
hold hands. Do we do the same thing?
No, and I don't say I miss it like we don't do it anymore, but there was just a time where it just was a given. You're standing next to each other, you grab hands, and then eventually I'd have to pull away because my hands started getting so sweaty. But when we're walking in the mall and I grab his hand or he grabs my hand, I love that.
Yeah, me too. And it's interesting because, and it's not about like demonstrative affection, with shows of affection in front of other people, because I'm not super big on that, but I'm just uncomfortable because I feel like it's making others uncomfortable. That's the reason why I'm uncomfortable. It has nothing to do with me.
With holding hands?
No, not the holding hands. I'm saying demonstrative, like kissing and then groping
get
each
a
other.
room.
Yeah, exactly. No, I'm not in that. But I love the holding hands, or even being arm to arm in a seat or something like that. But you're right, because my wife has the same heat issues. When she has one other issue, this is so funny, but she has a wrist issue. So a lot of times I have to put my hand on her in a certain way because if she can't twist her wrist, or it just really hurts.
Right.
And so it's like. But what's fun is, but the real point here is when you start losing physical affection for each other, there's something going on emotionally, whether you like it or not. And so addressing that is important, because if it's been a long time since you've been physical, you need to start addressing whatever the emotional issues are, because I guarantee you they're there. So, I mean, you might have some physical issues. That's a totally different story. I'm just referring to, you probably know what I'm talking about if this is you.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. What was your next one? You had it.
Okay. Just one more thing I was going to say was, I mean, I did have hold hands at the end, but since you brought it up, I said that. But you kind of said this in the beginning, or a while back, when you said you fell in love for a reason, you got married for a reason. There was things that you liked about your partner. You found joy in things with your partner.
Absolutely.
So keep those things, remember those things, because even as we go through marriage, we're going to find things that we don't like about that partner.
That's right.
You know what I mean? And and I know Peter listens to the podcast, but my husband does not like, he doesn't like silence in the house. He's very uncomfortable with silence. So he will sing or he will whistle, but he also doesn't know that he does it because he innately sings and whistles. Like, he's always that whistling guy. So there was times that, like, sometimes I just wanted peace and quiet. I'm coming home from a day of crazy loud kids, and he's walking around the house whistling, and part of me is like, oh, I just wish he would stop whistling for a minute. And then the other part of me is, this is so cool that my husband whistles.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's always in that spirit. And so remember that joy that you loved about that person, because, sometimes you lose it. You know what I mean? And
That's right. It's amazing how many times the thing that annoys you is the thing that you miss when you're no longer, together for whatever reason. And so I don't want to, I was going to say something. No, I'm not going to say it. But it is interesting how people miss things when they're gone.
Yeah.
And they're the things that you never thought you'd miss, but you miss.
Yeah.
See, Patty's going to miss my jokes and my talking and incessantly.
I'm sure.
She can be like, oh my gosh, what? You know what she can do? She can listen to the podcast. So that's what she can do.
My thing is sometimes I get into bed. I haven't done it I guess I do sometimes because Peter will just go, oh my gosh, go to sleep. We'll go into the bedroom and I will get into the bed and I will just start chatting about something and laughing about something, even though I've already fallen asleep on the couch or something. You know what I mean? And he's just looking at me. And then I start asking him all these random questions and he's like, oh my God.
What happened?
And it happens a lot. And so I'm like, you're going to miss this when I die someday. He goes, no, I'm not.
That's too funny. Well, guys, if you are struggling or dealing with stuff, whatever, we'd love to hear from you too. If we could be a help, it would be wonderful for us to hear from you guys. And so you can get in contact with me at Benny Gonzalez in Instagram. Mm-hmm. And you are?
I am at A Daily Dose of Cocoa.
A Daily Dose of Cocoa. And we absolutely would love for you, if you've enjoyed this and you find it helpful, if you send it to a friend, if you post it on your social media sites. Super, super helpful. It's on YouTube and Spotify. So you can put the stars there, subscribe to it, etc. That'd be wonderful.
Yeah, it would be.
So there you go.
Thanks
I
for
like
listening,
this
my
topic,
friends.
Valerie.
Good,
it was great.
glad.
I really did. Because I think it's more than just that. I think it was really good about relationships.
Yeah.
So I'm glad. Yeah. So we'll see you guys next week.
Yeah.
Make it a great week. Ciao.
Ciao, gente. That means people in Portuguese.